Hi, this is Maurizio from Kataklysm and Ex Deo, and you're watching Impact.
Hi everyone, our guest today is Maurizio Iacono from Kataklysm and Ex Deo. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for having this interview after the show. It was a real killer gig. How was the audience?
Really crazy. Every time in Budapest, it's always good. Loud crowd, and they know all the songs, and love it. Every time we come here, it's a beautiful city as well, and always a good time here. So,
what's your personal favorite from the new record?
Song? Wow. I really like The Black Sheep. I think it represents a lot of things that this band has been through, and I think a lot of people have been through, of sometimes not fitting in or being labeled something apart from the rest of society. You know, we've dealt with that with Kataklysm in the music industry. You know, a little bit of being outside cast of a lot of the death metal subgenres and all that. So for us, for me, it's a song that represents Kataklysm very well right now, and that Soul Destroyer is like a really heavy hitter, you know. So yeah, it's a great record. I really love all the songs on it. You know, hard to choose.
Where did you get the idea to make a video for every single song?
You know, when we started doing the process, was our 12th record, and when we started doing the process for it, it was very. I thought it was boring. The label was like, do a lyric video and do this, and then I do the whole, like, all the bands do the same thing, and I wanted to do something different. I was like, I'm gonna, instead of using all this money that we have that they give us to do one video, why don't we try and find a way to make something interesting with the concept of every song, you know. It was never really done in metal before. It'll get people talking. I thought it was new, you know.
Not so long time ago, you reactivated your other band, Ex Deo, and you're working on a new album called Immortal Wars.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're going to record it and who is going to mix it or produce it?
We will record it in Canada, I believe, and we will do some. We're going to record it in Texas at the JF studio, and we're going to record it also in Canada. We have another studio there that some of the guys together work on. And we're going to mix it in Sweden with a producer. I'm not saying more because we haven't announced it yet. We will announce the producer at the end of this tour. But it's a good one, and it's going to be interesting for us to use somebody from Scandinavia on a Roman project. but it will be interesting because we need that, and also we have Clemens from Carrick Angren that's doing all the orchestra for the album, and he does movies stuff in Hollywood, and for like big companies, and we've got, I think, 3 new songs that he sent stuff for, and it's crazy. So I think it's going to be a very interesting album.
And why did you choose the Punic Wars as a concept for the new album?
I wanted to dig deep in it. I love history, and for me, it's as you well know, with Ex Deo. But I didn't want to just do things that everybody know. You know, I had to introduce the band in a way that it would be easy. That's why there was a lot of stuff on Caesar and a lot of stuff like Romulus and Remus, but we never really explored deep in Rome, and I thought it was the time to do it. I also think the current climate is perfect to do it. It's like crazy how, like, I want to kind of show the world how history continues to repeat itself in different ways, you know. And I think it was a great battle, and between Hannibal and Scipio, and it was not even almost between 2 different nations. It was between 2 generals, and I think that's like so much war tactics have come out of those Punic Wars, and they're in history, and I thought it was a good time to do it, you know.
If you had a chance to witness the battle of the history in safe circumstances, of course, where would you like to go back?
I would go to see Caesar stand against Vercingetorix when he conquered Gaul. That was a crazy battle. His tactic was very, very insane. To even think about how he could beat them and conquer it, and I was like, I thought it was great, you know. I kind of talk about it in the song called "Storm the Gates of Elysia" in the Romulus record, and I thought it was a fantastic tactic, so I would love to just witness it. I wouldn't love to be in it. It looked brutal, It was cool because the Romans were losing that battle, and Caesar was losing it, and his troops were getting demoralized because the Gauls are a very strong adversary, and he was on the top of column looking at the whole battle, examining the thing, and when he saw that the troops were starting to have problems and the things were coming down, he came down and mounted a horse and led his troops in battle, and that's a real hero, he's willing to take his life down. And when the soldiers saw, the general on his, and they all went through and they won, so it was like, that was the final stand,
Not like nowadays.
Now, you have a couple of nerds behind a computer pressing a bomb, and that's it, it's like, there's no honor anymore, no honor.
Do you have a favorite warlord?
Oh, wow. Warlord. Give me an example of a warlord.
Could be Hannibal, maybe.
Like
or Sulla.
Yeah, Sulla was crazy also. A warlord. Warlord means like somebody that just wants to go to war all the time. That is like kind of like doing the pillage and all that crazy stuff. One of the one from here, Attila, right? Yeah. Attila the Hun. He was a fucking crazy one, and he made it all the way to the gates of Rome, and he was probably one of ones that nobody could understand how he could win those wars, and he was very tactful as well, and without any mercy. He had the arrows, the speed with the horses. It was really well thought out, and he had new technology that he used. Yeah.
So as we know, you're really proud of your Italian ancestry. What do you think? What the world can learn from the Italians and from the Canadians too?
Well, you can learn not what to do when you're Italian, because once you ruled like they did for 1,000 years, it self-imploded, and you can kind of see some of the same problems happening also in America, and it's always from the inside that empires fall, so it's, look at what's happening in the US, and look at corruption, and look at all this crap, and it's hard to please everyone in a population, but you still have to try to make things good as much as you can, instead of the 1% taking everything, so we are kind of exploring the same type of things, but today things happen much faster. It's happened in a space of 1,000 years, and now it's happening, I think, in much faster, time, from the time the Romans started until it ended,
Does it feel like a pilgrimage when you go back to Italy?
Yeah, I love it. As soon as you get off the airport, even it would be in Rome or whatever, you just smell history, it's like anywhere in the country. It's beautiful. You find things that were there 2,000, 3,000 years ago.
To go back even further, what makes you the most proud when you think about the Romans and the Roman ancestor?
How they thought ahead of time, how they did not limit to what they had. Rome was smart enough to create roads, to make it easy for, just to build construction. They always wanted to build something new. Their vision of grandiose was, bigger than everybody in life, and to build the Colosseum was something unheard of, and they did it, and people were just astonished. And I think they sent the message of everything is possible. I think that's the thing I'm most proud of. I'm not really proud of all the other crazy shit that they might have done, like any nation has done. But I think that in the end, their message of assimilation, of everybody's the same in a way. If you're Roman, you are Roman. You can be, any race or whatever. And everybody had their own idea of, how do you say? They can worship whatever they wanted to worship inside Rome, as long as you pay taxes. So it came from them, this idea, and I think that the initial idea was right. I think that with time, it's not working properly, and you can see still today that some things are not just working right with the whole idea of that globalization, so We'll see.
Do you have a favorite Roman god and Roman emperor?
Of course, it's going to be, for me, Augustus was my favorite emperor. He's the guy that had the most peaceful time under him. He was fair, and at the same time, he was not somebody you want to fuck with, you know. And so it's like, I think he represents really how it should have been, you know. And favorite god, of course, the god of Mars, you know. And the wine, Bacchus, also.
If you could summon a historical person and a mythical creature for a chat, who would you pick and why?
The Minotaur from the Greek. Yeah, how can you look so brutal, you know?
Yeah.
So I like, you know, with a bull head and big like, I mean, it's just, I think he looks the coolest, you know. So it would be probably him.
And a historical person?
Caesar, always.
Not Brutus.
Not Brutus. Caesar was a revolutionary, you know.
Would you go for a time travel if you had a chance?
Depends if I can come back.
Let's say you do.
If I can come back safe, yes. I would love to just be there, you know, for something.
Be Rome, I guess.
Absolutely Rome, yes. Maybe some other times. I would like to see some of the medieval times as well. I like that part of history as well. Before that, I'm not sure. Civilization was a little too crazy, I think.
You have a son, Angelo. Is he a music fan?
So. He has a hard time. I think he's 11 right now. He likes video games. He plays all the war games or whatever. He's cool and he's really good at all that stuff. But he's starting to get into music now a little bit. You know, sometimes I was in the car. In the US, they have a satellite radio called the Sirius, liquid metal or whatever the channel's called, and they play a lot of metal stuff on there, and it's a pretty popular thing. Every car in the US comes with it now, and so I had it in my car, and I was driving, and Kataklysm popped up, you know, and they were playing the song, and I just looked at him, and he's like, looked at me like, "This is, don't you realize your dad's getting played on the radio?" I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, I go to his school and all the kids know me, you know, and they all, "Hey, your dad has, you know, 1 million views on YouTube and all this millions of views and blah blah blah," and he says he's like, he's famous or whatever, and my kid's like, "Yeah, you know," he doesn't care. I kind of think it's cool.
In what way paternity changed you as a person?
Responsibility, more careful with things in life, and more worried also because the world is changing. I don't know how it's going to go, and I want my son to have a good future, you know, I want him to be happy. So it's changed me a little bit more in that direction, but I kind of think that it's a good thing to be a father, you know. I feel like it's a duty that I have to do, you know, also. So.
How do you prepare before the shows?
First I have to prepare mentally, because it's not easy to do the shows every day, especially this tour. I don't know what I was thinking. 44 shows, 2 days off, you know. It's like everybody from all the bands we talked, they said, "You guys are absolutely crazy," you know. And we're a veteran band, so it's people usually do less as they get older. We're doing more, you know. So it's like I prepare more, like doing some exercises for warming up the vocals a little bit, more breathing stuff, opening up my lungs. Because every stage is different. Some it's a lot of smoke depending on the place we go, and some places are more claustrophobic, like more, and the air is not that great. So I have to be ready for that, because if I don't have enough air in my chest and my stomach to push, sometimes I can break my vocals, you know. So it happened in the beginning of this tour. I had a hard time. I was not really prepared mentally and everything when I first came here with 44 shows, but now I'm fine.
What would you advise to a beginner singer?
You will break your voice many times. You will freak out. Drink a lot of water on stage, and try to push with your diaphragm, because that's where everything is, and the top part of your chest, not your throat. If you use your throat, you will lose your voice.
Last year you said the metal world needs some balls and you're going to bring it. What do you think? What is the scene like at the moment, and what do you miss the most?
I don't know, man. I look at all these bands, and everybody's a huge big nerd, and it's okay, you know, but I remember a time where I used to go and see Slayer, and I was scared of the band on stage. I remember when I first saw the first Deicide album, and I saw Glenn Benton, and I was scared of the fucking guy, you know. I mean, we're great friends now, me and Glenn, you know, and it's like he's he's awesome and he's funny and all that, and he doesn't have that craziness that you would imagine now, especially now, you know, when he's older. But I remember that mysterious, dark, tough. I liked metal because it was tough. Now the bands are tough, but they have nothing really behind it, you know. And there's no new band, in my opinion, that is really capturing some of that. I don't know, like that realness, you know. One of the bands I really like lately, and I work with as well, is Flesh God Apocalypse. I think they're a band that are very, very real and authentic in what they do. They're very dramatic and like Italians are, you know, and they have a really good way of working, and it's real metal, you know, like they're coming with all kinds of different influences and trying to push the barrier, you know. I like that, and I like bands that have feeling, you know. So you know, Pantera came out, it was like, holy fuck, you want to punch something. Now everybody's trying to copy everybody. I think it's a different time, you know. It's not the same as you know. Everybody's gonna say that as they get older. It's not like it was when I was young, you know, whatever. But I miss kind of that thing, and I think that with this Ex Deo record, I'm gonna bring something that has balls, for real. Like it's gonna have a lot of testosterone in it, and it's gonna be very manly, and it's gonna be tough. And I think that's what you need if you want to have the real essence of what metal is. It will be dramatic, it will be Rome, you know. So it's history and made into like a real good metal slab, you know. That's what I want to do. So we're looking good with it. So
looking forward to hear it. If you could pick the bands for Kataklysm and Ex Deo tribute album, who do you want to hear on it?
For bands to do an Ex Deo and Kataklysm tribute?
Mm-hmm. Any bands?
Any bands that would cover our stuff?
Yes.
That's a good question. I would like Testament to try and do my stuff. They wouldn't do it, but I always loved Testament, and Chuck Billy was always like a big influence for me as a vocalist as well, to do stuff, because Kataklysm has a little thrash side to it, and I could say that it's coming from Testament, you know. So even the way he sings, you know, you can understand always what he said, you know, even in the thrash world. I think I kind of got that also in death metal, where you can kind of understand what I'm saying live, you know. And it's not complete guttural, you know, stuff. So
what are your plans after the European tour?
I will go home. My wife is pregnant, and she will be due a month after I get home. So I'm getting ready to be a dad again. I have a little baby girl on her way and home. So that's gonna be my year, pretty much. So just looking forward to that.
What's gonna be her name?
Ariana. Ariana, yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You're going to celebrate the band's 25th anniversary very soon. What are your plans for that?
Oh man, that's coming already, yeah. We have a few plans, some things that we were just starting to talk about slowly, you know. I would like for that'll be, I think, in 2 years, that it will be 25 or very close. We'd like to release a self-titled album for Kataklysm. It would be the perfect time to do it, you know. We've never done that, and on the 25th anniversary, I mean, who gets there? Not many bands. Who stays alive that long and do well? Not many bands. I'm happy that we're still somebody that people can relate to, you know. So I think it would be cool to release a record on the 25th anniversary, you know. See if we have the time, hopefully.
Do you have a funny tour story to share?
Yeah, actually there was a funny tour story on this one. When we arrived in Norway, coming from Sweden, we didn't know there was a border. And when I was in Denmark, I was given some weed, because sometimes on buses I need to smoke a little bit to sleep, because it calms me down. Because after the shows I have adrenaline, so I smoke a little bit of weed, and I go to sleep, and I sleep well. And so they have a little bit for me, and I had it in the bus. And then all of a sudden we got stopped at the borders in Norway, and they pulled everybody out. And then I saw the dogs, and I was like, fuck. And then so they said they put us all in the room. The dogs went in, then they came in the room. Whose weed is this? So I was about to go like this, and then my light guy put my hand down and said, it's mine. So he took the fall for me. He says, it's better me than you have to do the tour. And so when they took him, they brought him in the back, and they stripped him naked. He had to sit like in a squat position and cough in case he put something up his ass. So he went through fucking hell, and then they told him that they were going to deport him. Jeez. So for 1 ounce of weed, we're talking nothing. You know, people are getting killed all over the world, and there's all kinds of shit happening. They're worried about that, you know. Anyways, so that happened. So he had to they finally let him go, and he made the show in time, but he had to take a train from where he was all the way down. It took him 4 or 5 hours. He was in a cell for 6 hours. I mean, he made the show in time, but it was crazy. So I owe him, you know. So I owe him for doing that for me. It's very thoughtful.
Last few questions. Please name your 5 favorite albums of all time.
Ooh, tough. For sure, Master of Puppets, Metallica, Practice What You Preach, Testament. We're talking metal, right? More metal.
Any kind of bands?
I'm gonna stick with metal because it's so broad. You know, Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power. I know they're all the classics, but they're the ones that really stuck out. You know, Legion, Deicide. For Victory, Bolt Thrower. One of those. One of the Bolt Thrower records for sure. I always loved Bolt Thrower. So like in the metal scene, I would say those 5 I really liked.
What's the meaning of life?
It is happiness, and happiness doesn't come with material things only. So it's to be content first. Happiness is something we pursue, and we pursue until we die. I think you have to be content with what you have, health, and be happy with the simple things. I think first, and everything else is extra.
Do you have a message to your fans?
I can only say thank you, and numerous times, and every time I come, I tell them, and you know, millions of ways to say thank you, you know. But just that I always, when I write music, I always think of how the fans would feel reading my lyrics, and I put a lot of honesty in it, you know, and I can see that they share the same type of emotions, because I share stuff that normal people share, you know. Battles, emotions, all kinds of different things that we all go through in life. I put it in my music, you know, and I think that I have a connection with them, and I will continue to do that, and they can count on me for that.
Thank you for this interview and for the concert too.
Thank you. Cheers.